Stop trying to people please everybody. But also I would say, oh, darling, please see yourself as you really are, not as wrong because you say things that are different to those girls, or you think things that may be different to those girls. That's great. It's great, to be unique and different. And you've got a really kind heart, and you're really funny and you're lovely, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. And actually, I think I could say that to myself now as well. I think we could all say that to ourselves, couldn't we?
Welcome to All Aboard, where we help parents navigate the ADHD journey. Whether you're at the beginning of this journey asking what now, or you've trodden this path for a while and are wondering what's next, All Aboard ADHD is here for you. We will bring you key information from expert interviews, inspiring special guest stories, and parents sharing their real-life lived experience to help you feel less alone. I'm Claire Quigley-Ward, and today we're talking to Alyssa Kyria, aka the Funny Mummy, who is here to share her ADHD story with us. Alyssa is an actress, comedian, writer, and content creator. Her warmth, humour, and honesty about motherhood, mental health, and life as a woman in her 40s has earned her millions of views on social media from her viral sketches and parody songs. After a lifetime of feeling different to other people, Alyssa was finally diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 45. Through her platform, she shares about life with ADHD and the realities of parenting, all with kindness, honesty, and humour. Welcome aboard, Alyssa.
What a gorgeous intro. Thank you so much, Claire. That's so lovely. Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, I'm glad you like it. Thank you for joining us. I mean, it's all true. It's all about you, so thank you. Can you begin by telling us all about your ADHD diagnosis? So when you were diagnosed, what led you to seek that, and how it felt to finally have that answer?
Wow, yeah, great question. So I got diagnosed officially. I keep saying it was really recent, but it wasn't. It was not November last year, the November before, but it feels really recent to me because I'm still trying to get my head around it, and I forget about it a lot, which I think probably is the ADHD itself going, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing that. But I didn't even cross my mind, actually, that I had ADHD. And I have a friend of mine, another school mum, and she has ADHD, and we were sort of walking along and chatting, and she went, you have ADHD, right? And I was like, what are you talking about? And I know this is a thing that when you have ADHD, you often diagnose other people with ADHD. I did, and I thought that she was just doing that thing that I'd heard people do. And I was like, what? And then she just started sending me all the videos. She was then obsessed with convincing me that I had ADHD. And when I started watching some of the videos, I was like, oh my goodness, some of them resonated with me so much, Claire, about, the sort of my memory, my focus, the way I sort of see myself, my thoughts about myself. And I thought, wow, okay. And I just thought, right, I'm just going to do this and see. And so I went private to get a diagnosis because I tried to go with the NHS, and they were like, it's great, it'll be 5 years. And I was like, no, I'm impatient. So I found another sign. The signs were there, Claire, the whole time. And but so I found this company that was quite reasonable to do it. And I went through the whole process, and it was fascinating. The questions, although actually I have to say, and they admitted this as well, a lot of the standard diagnosis questionnaire questions are very much still lean towards the typical boys whizzing around the classroom kind of ADHD vibe. So, but then I had some consultations with a sort of expert, and it was becoming really clear. And so I was diagnosed with ADHD exacerbated by perimenopause. So it's basically, and I've been reading more about this, kind of the wheels come off with the perimenopause, and what you've been masking for so long and sort of keeping it all together, kind of unravels you. And that's how I feel, a bit unraveled, I think, since perimenopause, and then not even the diagnosis, but just the fact that I've just been feeling even stronger the sort of traits of ADHD that maybe have been sort of lying, not dormant, but I suppose, I've just been masking them or hiding them, or just, but it seems like I can't anymore. And so that was last November. And I have since been looking into it more, but sometimes not. It's like I sometimes can't handle it, and I don't want to go there sometimes. But then actually recently, which is really lovely that I'm here, chatting to you, I've really been listening to more podcasts like yours, for example, and others about ADHD. And you just feel like, oh goodness, I'm not a complete weirdo, and I'm not rubbish, which is what I think a lot. And I still do. And I still do feel like that when like this morning, I'm having a real ADHD morning. I've lost my Apple Watch and I'm so upset about it. And I lose stuff all the time. And I'm just like, why am I like this? And it drives me crazy. So yeah, I'm still getting to know this side, this part of me that I've, recently discovered. And it's a real journey, I think. And also looking back to my school days, I'm really, really realizing now how things that happened really affected me more than maybe they would have done someone who was neurotypical, like I was bullied and things like that. And they say that children with ADHD get 20,000 more hurtful things said to them. And Negative messages, yeah. And I think also, even if however many negative messages you get, I felt them more than maybe someone else without ADHD might have done. So I'm like, oh, that's why I'm still in therapy. But yeah, so there you go. I can't remember what your original question was.
Don't worry, you answered it beautifully. And I was thinking while you were talking, I was like nodding profusely. And I'm sure everybody listening, this is going to resonate so deeply, because I think I was the same. I was diagnosed at 41 as a result of my son's journey. So I kind of came as a surprise to me, I guess, much like you. And I think because I was on that journey because of him, so my son and his needs, I almost forgot to think about me. So I know what you mean when you say you kind of forgot about it. And I also think you've got to do 4 decades of unraveling, really, haven't you? And you've got to figure it out for yourself. So even with all the knowledge and experience I have about ADHD and the symptoms and the differences between way they manifest and present themselves in girls, say, versus boys, still then trying to understand how that applies to you as an individual is actually quite a long, continuous process. I don't think I have got to the end of that. And then, as you said as well, you throw perimenopause into the mix and declining estrogen levels going at the part of your brain that is already challenged with struggling executive function. I just feel like I can't remember anything at the moment, honestly.
Oh my gosh, it's so really tough, isn't it? It's really bad. And it gets to the point where I don't trust my brain. I'm like, oh no. Like, what is going to let me down again today? Because and as mums, you have so much to remember, and I think the things that I used to just about handle, now I'm like, nope, it's just not happening. I find that really tough.
Yeah, it's tough, and I can't go at the speed I used to either. But you mentioned your childhood then, so I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. Looking back on those years, your kind of childhood, your younger years, through that ADHD lens, which you're starting to build up for yourself, how does that help you make sense of those experiences? Because you mentioned being bullied, so both at school, but and beyond, home and social life, things like that.
Yeah, it's really interesting because I always knew I was sensitive, and I felt so different to everybody else, and I was bullied in a kind of lots of fabulous different ways, Claire, but a lot of it was kind of mean girls. Oh, why did you say that? Why are you doing that? Like, what are you doing? That kind of making me feel like I was all wrong, like a wrong fit. And I think now knowing, oh, your brain just works differently to those people, to the rest of the people there. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself that, rather than, I think what happened was I was like, oh, okay, I am wrong. Like, that's what they're saying is absolutely true. I'm taking it. And again, now knowing about RSD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, I took it all so personally. And I was so devastated if anyone was upset with me or anyone thought anything badly of me, that I would then basically throw myself on the floor to be like, oh, forgive me. Like, I'll do anything to make, I'll buy you a present, make you feel better so you will like me again, kind of thing. And a lot of that was kind of putting me down here and other people up here. So through the ADHD lens, I'm sort of just realizing why I felt that way and why things stung me so much more than they would have done if I hadn't had ADHD. So it's what I love about the diagnosis. And I think even if you don't have a diagnosis, because a lot of my friends think they have ADHD, but they haven't gone down the path. But I'm like, just use it as another tool to be kind to yourself and to be kind to your brain. That's what my journey is definitely taking me on, a journey of kindness and sort of self-forgiveness and compassion, and going, oh, darling, to me down, like back then, of course you felt horrible and awful, and of course you tried to do anything you could to make them like you, because if that was like survival for you, because the idea of someone feeling upset with you or being horrible was just so awful. And that's because of the way your brain works. So it's like a little window into a bit more of sort of forgiveness, I think, and self-compassion, which is a nice thing.
Yeah, it's really nice. And you mentioned other children there, and I think a big part of what I'm passionate about now is not just helping to educate parents and adults, but I also think it's about how we help educate the next generation coming through, not just those with ADHD or other neurodiversities, but all children, because I think if we can raise that awareness, then hopefully we create an environment by which children and young people are just so much more accepting of those differences. Because of course, nobody wants to feel different. Nobody wants to feel excluded or outcast. And I can absolutely remember those feelings myself. It's led to a lifetime of people pleasing that I'm probably slowly unraveling myself and trying to make sense of. But I do think it's really important that people understand this stuff. And whilst it starts with us as adults now, having conversations like this in a really public forum, my hope is also that then that information is passed on to children so that they begin to have that understanding and awareness themselves, so that we see that progression coming through. But if you mentioned talking about other children and seeing that compassion and kindness with yourself in those days, or as you reflect back, but what about parents and teachers? Is there anything you wish that they had understood about you growing up?
Absolutely. And I think even the way you speak to all children, not just children who might have ADHD, you just got to think about your words. Teachers could say things like, oh, Alyssa, you're always, concentrate. Why are you always losing stuff? Why are you always doing this? And it was just always in such a harsh kind of judgmental way that made me feel that. I mean, I almost got suspended from school. I was thinking about this morning, sort of, because I knew I was talking to you, because I was so forgetful. I forgot everything for every lesson, and so I had to have this report card. It was like a sort of shame card that they gave me, that I had to go and get it signed to say that I had brought the books that day, and if I hadn't, I was getting closer to getting suspended. And it was just like I was the only one who had it. But then it's tricky, isn't it? Because teachers are dealing with a whole, gang of different children, different needs, and of course they want you to bring your books. I mean, I could not bring, I just kept not bringing them because I just didn't know where anything was. But I think it's a way of communicating, a way of getting messages across to children without it being shaming or judgmental or making them feel like they're wrong. So if teachers know more about RSD and they know more about the way that an ADHD brain works, and that they might forget things, or they might do this, but they might be absolutely fabulous in other ways. And, it's maybe giving them those tools to really help the children feel seen and kind of validated for the amazing stuff they bring to the table. And I'm still struggling with this, in a sense of seeing ADHD as like, oh no, I've got ADHD, I'm going to forget stuff and I'm going to do this. But actually so many amazing stuff about it. And if kids are taught that, like it's their, I don't want to say superpower, but like it's a way of that their brains work. It's in a fabulous way. It might be different, but it's fantastic. That would be really cool if teachers could get on board with that.
It would be so cool. I'm with you. That strength-based approach, I think, is everything.
Yes,
the
that's
other
it.
side of a challenge is a strength, right?
Yes, exactly. Strength-based approach. I love that. That's a great way of putting it.
I think it's just such an important way of looking at ADHD. It's not to take away the very, very real challenges, but with it come amazing strengths.
Yes.
And if we can help children recognise those, and we can help them build up a positive sense of themselves through their natural strengths and the areas in which they shine, then it helps to counter so much that negative messaging you mentioned earlier. Because just giving the example you said there with the teachers, it's not even necessarily words. It can be tone of voice. It can be a roll of the eye.
Yeah.
And then as girls, you talked about RSD too, then we massively internalise this.
Yes.
And it has a compounding effect that in many ways can be quite irreversible, particularly if you don't understand this stuff about yourself, like you and I, into adulthood. You're trying to undo a lot of that. So, I mean, obviously we know that ADHD in girls and women is so often overlooked for that reason, because many of us, like me and you, we mask, it's not really understood, and we're only diagnosed later in life. And I just wondered, from the sense of internalizing symptoms and that side of things, how do you think gender has shaped your experience and how you see yourself?
What, with ADHD, do you mean? Or just
Yeah,
generally?
just in relation to the fact that it is so often, I mean, you talked right at the beginning about the way that the diagnostic tools even now are still designed with young boys in mind.
Absolutely.
And there's lots of emerging evidence that actually what pervasiveness looks like, how that shows up for girls, is so highly masked that it's really difficult to identify. And which, again, is a big reason why people like you and I don't then get diagnosed until later in life. And I just wondered if you're aware of any ways in which your gender has impacted your ADHD.
Yes, right, I'm with you now. Okay, so absolutely. Well, first of all, back in the day, ADHD, I just thought it was those boys that couldn't sit still, and it was seen as quite a bad thing. It was like, get them on some medication, get them to sit still, like this is that. It didn't even cross my mind about girls having ADHD. No girl I went to a girls' school, and I heard about ADHD. I heard about this thing that boys were getting diagnosed with, but nothing when it comes to girls. And I also think even now with my ADHD, because I feel like women are often the ones who are holding the family together, the ones who are running around looking after everyone else and putting other people's needs first, it's almost like, oh, I apologize for it. I apologize for my ADHD. And the people pleasing is almost so intrinsic that I'm like, oh, that's not ADHD. That's just me, because I want everyone to like me, and I want everyone to I want to make sure everyone's okay. So I think my gender kind of not masks it in itself, but it's almost like it doesn't feel like a big deal. Like, oh, I can't make a big deal of it because I just have to get on with it, kind of thing. And also it's hard to separate my personality from, that's what I find from the ADHD. I'm like, is that ADHD, or is that just me being like kind and looking after people, or is that ADHD, or am I just being oversensitive? Because like you said, it's not so accepted that women have ADHD, and the internalized is so hard. It's invisible. Like I'm not just sitting here fidgeting. Well, I am a bit actually, but I get excited. I'm like this, but but I don't. It's an invisible thing. It's all inside. So I think that also is hard to navigate, because it's like navigating it within yourself and kind of trying to understand that is ADHD rather than it's just who I am, and feeling bad about those sort of aspects. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything you're saying makes sense, especially as a mum, because even when we get past that and we are recognizing our own needs, we still can't meet them, because we end up at the bottom of the pile constantly, which can make it really, really challenging at times, particularly if we're struggling with something ourselves. And I think the point that you make about it being hidden is so significant, because I think there's expectations at a societal level when it comes to girls, full stop. And then when you already feel different, and the examples that you gave earlier on with girls saying, why are you doing that? You then start to want to hide yourself even further, or kind of, you want to shape shift a bit, don't you? So that you can be accepted and you can see the same. Or seem the same. So then those symptoms become even more internalized. And I think that's why it becomes so difficult to unpick later in life, because the mask is so fused on. It's not like you can just lift it off. I feel like sometimes I'm not sure where that starts and stops.
Absolutely. I feel the same. And I just thought of something else as well, actually, as mums, because the things that I struggle with are like, oh no, you don't want to struggle with them when you're a mum, like the remembering things and the dropping balls. And there's so much shame that comes with that, for me anyway. Like when I forget what day my daughter has certain things, and, whether I need to bring this PE kit or this whatever. And when I try and explain to my husband about it, how that is just part of the ADHD, I feel like, I'm just forgetful, and it's all very down on me, because it's like, oh no, mums shouldn't struggle with that. Mums should be on top of that. I should be able to, cook dinner and not be just so exhausted by my busy brain that I'm lying on the sofa and I don't want to move, which I am sometimes. Sometimes it's like you never know who you'll get when you walk through the front door with me. It's like I'm either there like, oh, I'm slow cooking a chicken curry, or like on the sofa, just I can't move. And then I think, oh no, mums shouldn't be doing that. So I think that is another gender thing that brings some shame when it comes to ADHD.
Yeah, honestly, as you were saying that, I could picture myself, because I have those moments. It's almost like a functional freeze where I find myself in the same spot on the sofa, and I have that exact same dialogue going through my head that, you've got so much stuff to be doing. You should not just be,
what are you doing,
frozen here?
Yeah.
But it can be a function of overwhelm, can't it? Because
absolutely,
all of the things you're trying to juggle, manage, get done in a day, and then you're just you're at absolute capacity. But because you're a mum, you have to keep going.
You have to keep going, and you feel bad when you don't. And I find myself scrolling a lot, and I'm like, oh God, Lisa, why are you always scrolling? But it's when I'm in that kind of freeze, and that's all I can manage. Yeah.
Me too. I was explaining that to somebody the other day. I don't even like doing it, but I've learned to recognise that that's when I'm in a freeze, because it's like my brain is searching for some sort of connection, some sort of dopamine.
Yes.
But I can't seem to do anything beyond the scroll in that moment.
Same. And it's really tricky. And then afterwards, I'm like, what have I just been doing? What have I been consumed? I don't even know. And I have a go at myself about it. But I think, I need to remember that. What did I say at the beginning? Kindness.
Kindness, yeah. Well, it's true, isn't it? Because you think about that negative messages thing. It's funny how we almost take that mantle on ourselves. Like we've been bombarded with these messages in our childhood, and then we become the perpetrator of it. Like we're actually, even though we know we should come at this with kindness, and maybe we're learning to, and that's part of the process, we're also very guilty of those internalized shame messagings that you talked about.
Absolutely.
Did you think about some of those struggles then? Because I think that's a good example that maybe you had as a child or a teenager. Are there examples of that now, thinking about it from that strength-based approach, that you can see are strengths that you have as an adult today, even though there were struggles in your childhood?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to someone the other day talking about ADHD, and she was saying that with ADHD, things that other people find easy, we find hard, and other things people find hard, we sometimes find easy. So when I look back at when I was younger, I was, really good at sort of lifting other people up and bringing a vibe to a room. And, for me, I'm a performer, so I was always sort of making up songs and doing performances. And I was like, I find that really easy and fun. And I didn't kind of realize that that's quite a special thing. So that, I think, is a really nice thing to see, because there's creativity often that comes with ADHD, and it's a way of looking at the world that's a little bit different, and you can kind of see, some things differently, which has helped me with my comedy, and it did from then as well, which is really nice. And because I went through a lot of, bullying and, sensitivity and all of that, I'm very, very, I'm kind, because I went through it myself. And I think that sensitivity as well means that I have the sensitivity to other people's feelings. I often to detriment, because I can feel less like empathic. I'm like, oh God, I can really feel what you're feeling, and I want to fix whatever's happening with you. But also it's a lovely quality, a kindness, and because I've been through stuff, but also the sensitivity as well, which is all part of ADHD for me anyway. I'm sensitive to other people, and I can be kind to them and not judge, and try and see things from other people's perspectives, which I think is a thing that came from having ADHD and just being that kind of sensitive little sausage.
Yeah, and they are both amazing strengths, and not just the creativity in relation to your comedy now, but actually I think the empathy and the sensitivity allows you to find humour in things, doesn't it? Because I wanted to talk to you about that, not just your comedy, but obviously all your social media content and your new podcast, Cringe and Tell.
Oh, thanks.
That's all about honesty and finding humour in our imperfections, which is something that is very necessary when you've got ADHD. So how do you think your ADHD then shaped that creativity creativity and the voice and the way that you're able to connect with people through your comedy.
Oh, thanks. That's really lovely. It has been a journey, actually, because when I first started doing comedy, I didn't want to show any of that. I was very kind of, because I'm an actress originally, and I used to do comedy as characters, which was complete, mask. And it was my main character was this Greek footballer's wife who was very confident and fabulous and like darling, And I am Greek, so that dodgy Greek accent is allowed. I'm telling myself that anyway. My dad's like, "That's awful. You sound Italian," but I let myself off because I'm half Greek. But so it was very much not talking about personal things or vulnerable things. So when I started doing comedy as me as a mum, I was terrified, Claire. I was like, oh no, I can't show my vulnerability and I can't show things that I've messed up or got wrong, because other people might go, oh my God, like you're an awful mother. Like, how could you do that? But I did it anyway. And it has become one of my favorite things to do and very healing for me. And it really helps me with my perfectionism, which we were talking about before the podcast, which is a real thing for me. I am very much still a perfectionist. I still worry about each post that I send out, going, oh, is it good enough? Is it this? Is it that? But I'm getting better at it. And with Cringe and Tell, that is really quite ballsy for me, because I do stupid stuff all the time. I like fall flat on my face, literally sometimes. And I'm just known for it because it's just, again, I'm sure this is the ADHD as well. And to actually admit it and tell some of these stories is really my way of going, right, yeah, I'm imperfect. This is life. We're all winging it. So it is quite scary for me, but I really wanted to do it. And I actually, even though it is scary, I also love laughing at myself. It's one of my favorite things. And that helps me as well when I'm doing things that I'm like, oh God, why did you do that? Just to sometimes have a bit of a laugh and take things a little bit less seriously really helps me get through. So I'm hoping that maybe anyone listening to the pod might be like, oh, I do stupid shit like that as well all the time. Let's all just have a little laugh at ourselves. So it's all part of, I think, me trying to, shake off a bit of the shame and the perfectionism for sure.
Yeah, I can see how it would be really healing. I mean, I'm quite good at laughing at myself in the moment where something's happened, particularly if it's around other people. It's almost those moments where perhaps other people don't know that you just did that, and then that triggers the overthinking and the shame. And I am so in awe of the stuff that you do, and
Thanks.
People who have this ability to just put themselves out there like that, because I struggle very much like you with perfectionism. But I can see how what you're doing isn't just healing for you, but I suspect, because even just listening to you speak, it sounds like permission for others to expose themselves in a non-dodgy way. I probably could have chosen a better word there. That was an example of it. Yeah, that's not the permission I meant. I meant that permission to
be vulnerable. Be vulnerable.
Be vulnerable, yeah, and share the things that you do, the mistakes that you make.
Yes,
because we're all human, and if you've got ADHD, that's definitely going to be relatable and something that we're all absolutely doing unintentionally. I think it helps to put it out there. Even just the process of this podcast is healing in itself for me, because I'm talking about things that for so long you don't think anyone else is experiencing. So for you to then, through your podcast, have those conversations where everyone just has this permission to show all the embarrassing things that we all do, I think is probably very cathartic as well, not just for people you're talking to, but everybody listening.
I really hope so. That's such a nice thing to say. Yeah, that's my mission with it. So that's why I did it, and it took me ages to do this because I'm such a technophobe and I don't know. I'm like, microphones and recording, but I was like, I really want to do this. And even the sort of smart thing to do, would have been to do a Funny Mummy podcast. And it's like, yeah. And I might do that in the future, but I really wanted to do the Cringe and Tell because of exactly that, like just the permission slip to be an idiot and make mistakes and try and have a laugh about it. That, because I'm on that like mission myself and it helps me. So yeah, as you say, hopefully it will help someone else as well and just give them a little laugh along the way, maybe.
It will absolutely help them. And you mentioned kind of shame, that that feeling that seems to present itself in so much of this. And you touched on a little bit earlier on, like if you could go back and talk to yourself when you were younger through the kindness that you're trying to do better at for yourself today, what would you say to your younger self then? If you could go back, what would you want her to know?
Well, first of all, I would say stop hanging around with those bitches.
Good advice.
That's good advice. I didn't ask you if I could swear on your podcast. I'm so sorry.
You
those mean girls. Oh, good. Okay, fine, great. Get away from them. Stop trying to people please everybody, I would say. But also, oh, darling, please see yourself as you really are, not as wrong because you say things that are different to those girls, or you think things that may be different to those girls. That's great. It's great, to be unique and different. And you've got a really kind heart, and you're really funny, and you're lovely, and there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. And actually, I think I could say that to myself now as well. I think we could all say that to ourselves. But yeah, that's what I would say.
I was going to ask you that actually as an extension, because I could really feel that emotion when you were talking, and I wondered what it felt like to say that.
No, it's really nice. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just, because you forget, don't you? When this morning, I've literally, as I was saying, I've lost my watch, can't find it. I'm driving myself mad, and I'm having those internal, I'm trying not to, but they creep in like, oh God, you're always losing things. Why are you always doing this? What's wrong with you? Again, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me. And I have to just keep reminding myself of that. And just my brain works a little differently sometimes. I will find the thing that I'm looking for. And if I don't, it's not the end of the world, And being kind to myself and trying to forgive myself for anything so-called mistakes is the way forward for sure.
Yeah, it's absolutely the way forward. And also I think it's that kindness and empathy that you talked about for other people is so much harder to reverse it and shine the light on ourselves. But it's important. Even at 45, I still very much need that, but we have to do it for ourselves, and it's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. I'm so nice to other people. You should see me with other people, Claire. I'm so lovely. But to myself, and like I said, I'm getting better, but it's just it's outrageous, the difference sometimes. So yeah, it's definitely a journey to try and be nice to myself as nice as I am to other people, for sure.
Yeah, and recognise, as we said earlier, that all those things that made you feel different when you were younger, that you struggled with, actually are your strengths, because without all of those characteristics, without seeing the world differently, without thinking differently, you wouldn't have been able to do all the things that you have. Your comedy wouldn't exist. And so it's just, we need people like that in the world. We don't want to suppress it or keep it down.
Absolutely. And same for you. Like, you're doing your podcast, you're out there creating, you're hosting, you're running your business. It's just fantastic. And that's such fantastic skills that, are a part of you, which are real strengths. So, thank you. And it's the same for you.
Oh, thank you. It's very kind. It's such a lovely thing for you to say. And isn't it interesting that even when someone's saying that, you suddenly realise this really negative voice that you have internally that says things like, well, it's not enough. It's not good enough. You need
constantly.
to do more.
Oh my goodness. I know that voice. Yeah, absolutely. I often, look at the things I've done and I don't have a concept of how fab they are. I'm like, no, well, I've got to do a post today, and is that going to do that well? And that one didn't do very well, or my show hasn't sold that as enough tickets, or I should be doing this next, right? What's next? And it's, and actually you need to sometimes stop and go, well done, done. But, and appreciate what we've done, and also who we are as well, without all the things.
Yeah, that's so true. And you said something earlier, which I think sums up quite nicely, about recognizing the things that come easily to you are actually a strength and a skill. So almost the things that you probably don't pay attention to, the amazing things that you do every day, you don't realize what an achievement that is, because other people wouldn't have that same capacity, that same ability. It's very easy for us to just focus on the things that maybe we're anxious about, or we haven't done quite as well as we would have liked, and forget all the amazing things.
Absolutely. And I think going back to this lady as well, I can't remember her name, obviously, but she was talking about how, because we find it easy, our ADHD brains aren't interested in it. It's like, it's too easy. It's easy. Like, oh yeah, I did that video. Yeah, whatever. It did well. Whatever. Next, what's next? Because it's easy. And so it doesn't pique our interest, whereas something that we're, like you said, anxious about or struggling with, that's where our focus goes. So yeah, it's easy to forget the things that we've done that we found easy because it's just like, oh, whatever. But no, it's not whatever. So like you said, a lot of people will be like, what? That's amazing you did that. How did you do that?
And it's building the evidence, exactly as you said. Our brain's going to default to the negative thought, and we have to help the kind of positive things. We've got to pay attention to them because we want them to be sticky and hang around in our brain. Sticky. That's how we build that strengths-based approach. But we got to build the evidence under the or behind the scenes, which is the bit that's hard and it takes time.
Yeah. That's a really nice way to put it, building the evidence. If maybe want to go and do a scrapbook of all my achievements. Right.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of coaching. I'm also an ADHD coach. I work with kids. I work with parents. A big part of that is helping people build a sense of those achievements. And they can be really small. These do not need to be massive, life-changing achievements. They can be small wins, and recognizing that progress, I think, is so significant. So for the parents who are listening on this ADHD journey for their children who wish maybe that they had a crystal ball, what reassuring message or piece of advice would you like to leave them with?
So if your child has ADHD, I understand you're worried about them in the world and their sort of sensitivity and what they might go through, but also the fact that you're aware of it and you're there to help them is such a wonderful thing. And you should be so proud of yourself for listening to this podcast and wanting to know more about it. What a lovely, wonderful thing to do. And the fact, ADHD itself, as we've been talking about today, yes, it comes with struggles, but it comes with amazing strengths, and tapping into those strengths with your child together can be like a lovely project for you guys, a lifelong project. And I'm still doing on that project myself. And it's a lovely thing. So there'll be things that they can do that they have no idea they could do, and they could actually find easy, and it's going to be wonderful to discover those things. So I think it could be a really great thing to discover together.
Oh, that's so lovely. And I think that's so true, like it's not an easy thing at all, but it is a gift actually to be able to help shape our children positively from a young age in the way that we never had. So that's such a nice piece of advice.
Absolutely. And the fact that you're listening to the podcast is like, that's awesome. That's so lovely. So, because you want to help your child and yourself, great stuff.
Alyssa, thank you so much. That is a lovely, lovely message to end on. And thank you for sharing your own ADHD story with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been absolutely gorgeous. I feel great now after talking to you. Thank you.
Oh, good. I hope so. I'm smiling too. It's such a great way to start the day with these conversations. They just give you that buzz that you need to carry you through. So thank you.
Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about today's episode, then please do check out our show notes below for more information. Or if you'd like to find out about how I can help support you and your children with personalised ADHD coaching, then please do head to allaboardadhd.com. You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at allaboardadhd. Most importantly, if you enjoyed this episode and found it helpful, please can you follow and review All Aboard to help other parents find this podcast and welcome them aboard our journey too. Thank you for listening to All Aboard ADHD.